The best way to prune crepe myrtle, at least in our area, I live in the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia. Now, in Virginia Beach and in Richmond, you can do it earlier. But again, I really don't recommend pruning crepe myrtle in the fall. I recommend pruning them in the spring before new growth starts. Now keep in mind, crepe myrtle bloom on new wood. But what you really want to do is come in and tip this back so you can come right in and tip off the seed pods. And you work your way around the crepe myrtle. If there's any dead or damaged branches, you could remove them at the stem or main stem. So I'm just going to come through and prune this. And one thing you're going to notice is I don't de-antler crepe myrtle. And that is where every year you prune it at the same spot. So you get these club-like looking growths. You really don't want it. So you're going to come in here like this. And I'm going to continue to work. And I try not to leave stubs. Crepe myrtle really don't like stubs. One of the most important things to remember with crepe myrtle is there are about 7 different classifications according to height. There's some that only get 2.5 feet. There's some that get 3 to 5 feet. And this one here is probably, maybe 9 to 12 feet. And it really doesn't get much bigger. Now, in some areas, like Virginia Beach, your crepe myrtle may get as tall as 50 or 60 feet. But it's important you plant the correct or right size crepe myrtle that'll fit in your garden. Now we have some bigger crepe myrtle I'll show you over here. One of the hardiest blooming crepe myrtles is known as Natchez. It is a pure white flowered crepe myrtle. And it is probably one that might get 30 to 35 feet tall. One of the great things about this crepe myrtle is the beautiful exfoliating bark. Out of all the crepe myrtles, this is one of the showiest with the exfoliating bark, the red, the green, and the pale colors all together. Now, when I prune this one, which I will prune maybe next week for you, is I will get a pole loppers, not a pole saw, and I will start pruning this one, probably take off about 2 or 3 feet from the tips. One thing you notice is every year I've pruned it, I prune it in a different area. I don't prune it in the same spot year after year. The only other thing is I do remove the growths or suckers at the base of this crepe myrtle, and I do that every spring. Now, if you find growths like this on the side, I will come in and remove those growths completely like this. I don't leave stubs. But Natchez is probably within the top 5 of my favorite crepe myrtles. And some of those years we get very cold winters. This is one that survives the best. Miami is a variety that is also one of my top 5 favorites. Beautiful pink. And when you look up, one thing you'll notice, the way I've pruned this is I've opened up the center of the crepe myrtle. And if you look up, you're going to see where there were branches that went and crossed each other in the center. I removed those, and I'm going to continue to remove those. Now, I will say, a pole pruners does work well. I really don't recommend using ladders unless you really know what you're doing and you have a lot of help, because a lot of people, even on gutters and things, have hurt themselves seriously forever by falling off ladders. So you really don't want to use ladders. But the same thing, I'll come in here and I will remove any side growths. Sometimes you can just rub off those side growths so you can actually look through the trunks. When crepe myrtles are really full of growth, you really can't look through the garden to see what's on the other side of your shrubs or trees. Another one of my top 5 favorite crepe myrtles is Catawba. I really like this crepe myrtle because it tends to be Japanese beetle resistant. Some crepe myrtles are like super magnets for Japanese beetles. This one here is least attracted to Japanese beetles, so I really enjoyed this one. But there is one other problem with crepe myrtle, and I might as well mention it. There is a specific aphid that gets underneath the leaves probably end of May and June, and it creates what is known as sooty mold. Sooty mold is where the honeydew from the aphids sucking the leaves drop to the tops of the leaves below, and it looks like someone put soot on your crepe myrtle. That is an insect that you really do need to control. Usually when you control it once, it's not going to come back again. I also recommend getting all the leaves up from the ground if you do have the crepe myrtle aphid. I do want to point, I hate to pick on my dad. My dad works in the garden every day. Every day he's hoeing in the garden. But I prune a little differently. One thing that's very important with crepe myrtles is not to leave stubs like this. If you leave a stub, there is no way that this limb here can heal over this 2 or 3 inch stub. So when you prune crepe myrtles, you want to prune them right to a main trunk and not leave a stub. I've mentioned this before. A great way to kill your cherry trees is to leave stubs, especially your fruiting cherry trees. So it is important to not leave stubs. You really don't want a flush cut, but you want a cut that is close to the main trunk. And if you look carefully, you can see where there usually is a branch collar, and you can prune right up to that branch collar. Crepe myrtles really need to be in everybody's full sun garden. We have about 15 different types. I will mention my #1 favorite crepe myrtle is known as Sue. So go out and plant crepe myrtles in your own backyard.
That's the natural branch collar.